on the Woodscopes.
Wood.
Is this Jim Rome?
Is this 12 wood?
It is. You know what? You know how I said I was going to run you?
Do it, dude.
Rack him!
Do it, dude.
Rack him!
Oh.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot.
Rack him!
The Woodscopes was a blast. We chopped it up for nearly a half an hour. I enjoyed every second of it. Honestly, I am so happy that he went at me as hard as he did to do it, because I said Friday night, and I'll say it again right now, I should have done that much sooner.
Ladies and gentlemen, the authority on America's pastime, jet passing.
Jeff Paston, brother. How you doing?
What's happening, my man?
And don't mind me. I'm eating a hot dog with ketchup on it as we speak.
Oh, I didn't realize I was talking with a 5-year-old. All right.
Anybody listening to Scott Farrell?
I heard a little bit of him on Friday.
That guy is funny, man.
Pharrell on the bench. How you doing, bud?
What's happening? Eventually, after doing all these radio shows like in Miami and with Mancow and all the rest, I was working at Fox Sports Radio doing a national show, and then Howard Stern called and offered me the job. And so when I went there, I just did completely uncensored, the filthiest show you've ever heard in your life. It was the dirtiest thing you've ever even, put your ears on. Because I knew of you because of your fandom with him, and then people started bombarding me, all your fans or whatever, to do your show. So I
Shame
finally
on
thought
you
it
guys.
would just be cool one night to do it because I'm not a dick.
So the Woodscope is tomorrow night, and I'm led to believe that Cruz Pedregon's going to take part.
How about that? Oh, hold on, Cruz. That was amazing.
Is this Cruz Pedregon?
Hey, yeah, this is me. How you doing?
What's up, dude?
Am I on with the scope?
You're on the Woodscopes! Friday night!
Nice. Very nice.
Dude.
And Mikey Francesi.
Michael Francesi, said by police to be a young, tough boss in the mafia. Say Francesi, who is only in his 30s, is the youngest mafia boss in the country and possibly the richest.
Is this Michael Francis?
Hello. That's me. And he said, tonight, Michael Francis, you're born again into a new life, into La Cosa Nostra. Violate this life and what you know about the life, and you're going to die and burn in hell like the saint is burning in your hand.
Oh, my
That's
gosh.
the oath. He said, do you accept? And I said, yes, I do. And that's how it started for me. We figured out a way to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. And I ran an operation for 7 years that wound up selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, and we were taking down 20 to 30 cents in tax money. So, we were generating $10 million a week at one point. So it was a pretty big operation, and I was the architect of it, and I eventually went to prison for it.
Matt in L.A. on the Woodscopes tonight, as well as the lead singer of the Spin Doctors, and D.A. may or may not call the Woodscopes to take that beef to the Woodscopes.
I don't remember asking you who was going to be on the Woodscopes tonight.
That's called a segue, another radio term. I heard you mention Matt in L.A.
I've got a radio term for you. Beat it.
If you guys don't know by now, we have Chris Barron from the lead singer of the you go by Spin Doctors, not the Spin Doctors. I know that there's a debate when you guys were trying to name the band. Is that correct?
That's right. We had a big old fight about it, and I lost.
Is it too much for me to ask for you to do the bit dibby da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba? I mean, dude,
How about that?
Our next guest has firsthand experience with the Russian oligarchy. Let's welcome Ben Mesrich.
It, too, is being made into a movie. We're joined by its author, Ben Mesrich. Ben, good morning.
Thank you very much.
You've written about a lot of cool stuff.
Yes, you have.
Hello.
Mr. Ben Mesrich. How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
What was
Yeah,
that?
the Facebook story.
Yeah.
I got an email from a college kid, and he was a Harvard senior, and he wrote me an email saying, my best friend founded Facebook and no one's ever heard of him. So, I'd heard of Mark Zuckerberg, but I'd never heard of anybody else.
Right.
And so I went out for a drink, and in walked Eduardo. And if you saw the movie The Social Network,
Yes.
You kind of remember that character. But basically, he just walked in and started the conversation by saying, Mark Zuckerberg fucked me.
Nice.
That's where it
Welcome to the Woodscopes. It is Friday night. I'm so hyped. You guys, I have, first of all, I got Jason Stewart here tonight. But first, let me get through some announcements really quick because I don't want to keep Jay Stu waiting any longer than, because I'm more excited than all of you guys. I love Jay Stu. Who doesn't love Jay Stu? Press ones if you love Jay Stu. All right. So before you hit the ones, actually, after you hit the ones, press the share button. And now there is incentive for hitting the share button tonight. If you hit the share button, I will mail out to one of you random sharers. Hold on. I don't know if you're going to see it with my green screen, but this is a Lorelei t-shirt. This is vintage. Oh, you can't see it. And on the back, it says Smack Off 25. I got to shake it. And it says, boom, out of here. Dave gave it to me. He wants me to share it. So Dave from Lorelei, if you guys are ever in the Green Bay area, you got to go check out Lorelei. They have the best atmosphere on the planet. Food is immaculate. I can't say enough about Lorelei. I want to go there every week if I could, but that's not going to happen. So share this. Click if you're on Twitch, you know how to do it. If you're on YouTube, I don't need to tell you guys if you're on Twitter. Listen, if you guys are on one of these platforms, I will recommend going to Twitch because Twitch will have the best interaction with the chat over here. And I see a lot of wands over here from my brother about having Jay Stu on. Other announcements are we have other shows out there. We got this show, of course. We got the Stucknut show. Bacon, are you on? Can you share a little bit like what's going on with Stucknut?
Last Thursday of the month. We just kind of mess around for most of the year. We'll have like one specialty show during the year, and then we do the Smack Off post show. So that's the big one for the year. But last Thursday of the month on Twitch, 9:30 Eastern.
That Smack Off post show is huge. Do you have like a Donald Trump saying huge?
Do not have Donald Trump saying huge, but
you gotta get that.
But I do have Donald Trump saying
it's a big one.
Anyhow, it is a big one. You have to check it out. It's dude, every Smack Off caller calls in that day. It's rad, dude. I was with Mark in Boston when he called in, and Steve thought he was going to talk to 12 when he's like, wah, wah, wah. And I was like, hold on, I got Mark in Boston, the winner, the Smack Off champ. So yeah, we got another show called The Watering Hole on what night? Is that Wednesday night?
That is Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, yes.
And what's that about?
That's Ryan in Sacramento and we talk about weird news items, and he comes up with his stuff. We never talk before the show starts, so whatever he brings, I'm hearing it for the first time, and whatever I'm talking about, and you know me, I like to talk a lot. He's hearing it for the first time, so it's weird news and just fun, interacting with the chat.
Nice.
Ryan trying to be Mr. Cool is so great.
It is great. And you can find that at HollywoodRejects.com.
Haunted Horse.
We're going to talk about that website in a minute as well.
Yeah. So also, you guys know Mock Moda. I didn't think he's here. Mock Moda, I didn't see you yet. I know he's going to be here. He's always here. Mock Moda has a show. Just follow Mock Moda on Twitter, and he randomly every now and then has a show called The Outlaws and Potatoes. I don't need to tell you guys about it. You guys all watch it. It's good shit, right?
Don't forget
It's not really watching. It's Twitter Spaces. You just listen to him because he says he has a face for a camera. That's why he shuts it off. But I don't know that. He's never said that. And then Ryan in Sacktown. He's on with Grant Napier. What is that, daily still? I don't know. He's on quite a bit. Just follow Grant Napier. You'll find him on Twitter or on Twitter and on YouTube. They usually, like during basketball season, they'll have like 30,000 live. It's remarkable. Do you have a Donald Trump saying remarkable? That'd be great.
No, I do not.
All right. And then we have merchandise.
Looks like a nice little guy, actually.
We have merchandise now. I didn't want to be left behind when I saw that Stucknut merchandise was getting out there. All of my friends are wearing Stucknut shirts. I'm like, what? Why can't Woodscopes do it? So if you guys want to have a good deal on a Woodscopes shirt, I am selling them at cost right now, just to get it out there. Horace, how did they find that?
Go to HollywoodRejects.com. Here's the webpage right here. Let me enlarge that up. You go to HollywoodRejects.com. You see that. You scroll down. There's the Woodscopes logo on the left. There is your shirt. It says click here for more merchandise. When you click for more merchandise, it takes you right to the page. So HollywoodRejects.com, scroll down to the Woodscopes shirt, and you will find it.
Nice. We do have other social medias. We have a TikTok page. Look for Woodscopes there. We have, of course, the Twitter page. We have Instagram. So if you guys are on those platforms, follow us there too. Eventually, I'd like to give out prizes for just random shit like that. So if you guys come in and maybe leave comments or whatever, I'm all about that. Next, he says, okay, with this next guest I have, dude, I wish we could play. What's the song by what's the band called? Mr. Automatic. What's the name of that band?
3 Day Weekend.
3 Day Weekend. You guys got to go find that song. It's like 5 minutes long. It's like this. I don't remember who they sound like, but it's freaking rad. Anyhow, he was a driver for Domino's. He is the host of the famous Jason's Beefs. He has a broadcast journalism degree at Cal State Fullerton. He produced calls and screened calls for Jim Rome show from April 1999 to 2000 or April 2013. His face is Molly. He participated in multiple times in the Jim Rome American Smack Off, was featured on many blockbuster TV shows and movies. He was on Blind Date and is currently in the Hall of Shame. Where was I? He conquered the bridge to nowhere. We're going to ask him about that. He was an EP for AM 570 in LA. Currently working for the legendary Doug Gottlieb, creator of Jacob Stewart. He is wooden. He is laconic. He is Mr. Automatic. He is Jason Stewart. He is Jay freaking Stu. What's up, Jay Stu? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So hi. I don't know if you remember this, Jay Stu, or not. We had you on the Woodscopes. I think I looked it up. It was like, I want to say like November of 2019. And after the interview, I had so many people tell me you cut that off too early. I'm like, I didn't want to keep them on too long. You know, they were like, I had like 5 pages of notes I wanted to talk to you about. I think we hit the first bullet point, and it was like, that's the best interview, you know?
But there's always a balance. You want that. You want people to be asking for more, as opposed to you went way too long with that loser. You know, there's a balance there. You see that. Yeah. Walk that. I mean, you've been doing this for what now? 5 or 6 years? You're a veteran.
6 years.
You know how to strike that balance.
All right, everyone. That was Jay Stu. Jay Stu, we'd like to have you on again. It was. It was.
I see what you did there. Well done.
Was that? Is that too soon? Too soon. All right. Oh shit, dude! I have so many things to talk to you about. I kind of want to rehash some of the stuff we talked about last time, and I don't want to make this like totally about Jay Stu at the Jim Rome show, even though that's probably where we're going to get the most reaction.
By the way, I need to say hi to the clones. Hello, clones. Have you reached like Joe Rogan status, like 10 million viewers yet? Or
Spotify is paying me shitloads. Wait, we're not on Spotify. We need to get on Spotify. Yeah, we're up there, dude. We are.
I'm jealous, man.
Jim Rome wishes he was like the Woodscopes. Not true. Hey, let me ask you a question. Are you an LA Lakers fan?
Am I a what fan?
A Lakers fan?
Yes. I mean,
okay, good.
Well, let me abridge that answer. I grew up a Lakers fan. I lived through the Lakers of the Showtime era that's now being made into an HBO series. I loved Magic Johnson. He's still my favorite basketball player of all time. But as I got into the business, you start to pull for individuals as opposed to teams. Like my team loyalties have been largely stripped, other than my Dodgers. So the Lakers are my local team. I'll follow them. I like when they do well, but I'm not a diehard Lakers fan that I was in like the 80s. That makes sense?
Yeah, dude. I watched your podcast you did last week with, I can't remember. I'm looking for his name. I wrote it down.
Oh, Brian Fenway. Yeah.
Brian Fenway. Dude, that was a very good interview. If you guys
thank you.
Get a chance, go to Jay Stu's page on Twitter, scroll down a little bit, like 2 or 3 days. He retweeted it. Interview. Dude, you talked about something that we're not used to hearing about, and how you kind of are a softie and you like to but no, this is cool because you and we share something that I don't think most people, I don't even know if you know this, but we both have an autistic child. And
I did not know that.
Yeah, mine awesome. Is 19. He's a great kid. Love having him in the family, and hearing you talk about him, dude, it's a side of you that I just freaking love, dude. I know you love to talk about Jacob too. Mm-hmm. What's it like being a father to Jacob?
Well, as you could relate, man, I think that when we finally got the diagnosis that he was on the spectrum, okay, he was diagnosed with Asperger's in 2008, so he was 9 years old. That's pretty late in life, right?
Yeah.
But the whole time you're thinking, he's struggling in school. Life just seems to be very hard, and he's a little socially awkward. And but yeah, once we got the diagnosis, though, as you know, like, at least you have an answer, and then there's a game plan in place. And for better.
Did you guys lose Jay Stewart, or is that just me?
Yeah, he's locked up. His connection.
All right.
We'll get him back.
We'll give it a second. I think whatever he was about to say was going to change all of our lives for the better. I'm sorry it cut out at that moment. But yeah, no,
yeah, he might be on Wi-Fi. It might be his Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, that was a turning point in all of our lives. He was amazing. Is the internet cool?
We lost you for a good 20 seconds or so.
Okay.
But sorry about that.
The bottom line was what I was getting to is, as soon as we got that diagnosis for autism, California has all these resources in place. And then we started to be able to put him in places to succeed.
Yeah.
And we knew what we were dealing with, and we could read books on it. And Jacob was always a wonderful human being. We just saw him struggling. Yeah. And as a parent, you know this. You don't want to see your child struggle. And the struggle just lessened a little bit. I mean, he's overcome challenges. As you know, you're told by the doctors all the things that your kid is not going to be able to do. Right. And those could be discouraging, but my son is 26 years old right now, and he's done everything that all of us have done. It's just, he's a regular functioning, working person with a relationship, and he's nice. Thriving. So it's amazing.
26, dude, you don't even look 26. How's that even possible?
No, I had him when I was 9 years old.
All right, so I don't know. I saw this on your Instagram, and I wanted to bring this up because I thought this is probably something you like to talk about. But you you nailed one of your bucket list items. And did you have Jacob with you when you conquered the bridge to nowhere?
No, he steered clear of that one. See, the bridge to nowhere, for people that don't know, in Southern California here, it's a bungee cord jumping place off of a bridge, but you need to hike 5 miles into the San Gabriel Mountains to get there. It's not a hard hike, but it's 5 miles in and it's 5 miles out. So that's a part of the experience, is that you get to hike and then you get to the bridge to nowhere and you get to leap off of a bridge. I planned on doing it once when I got out there for the first time, and I'm like, I'm going to do it again.
Oh, shit, that's you? All those videos, where every one of them was you?
Oh yeah, and
all right, we have him playing right now on the screen. If you guys are watching, that's Jay Stu jumping off a bridge right there.
But they'll ask you for like $60 or whatever it is for a jump, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, but you can get 2 for $100, and it's like, I don't know if I want to do 2. I don't know if I want to make that commitment. But once you get out there, as the instructor says to you, it's like that extra $40. Like, when are you going to remember spending that $40? Like, what are you going to spend that $40 on? Like, I don't know, 4 cups of coffee. Like, but you'll never be able to relive this experience. And he was right. It's an experience I'll never forget, and I want to do it over and over again. So
that's rad. I mean, like, I don't know if I was the marketing person for the jump off of a bridge to nowhere. I would be like, you could pay for a second one, and if you do, we'll drive you halfway back.
So you're not doing it? You're not doing the bungee cord jump off
dude,
the bridge?
you lost me at 5 miles. And I figured when I get there, I'm probably hoping that rope kind of snaps, like, oh, maybe I'll get lucky and I won't have to walk back. But dude,
no, I have to thank my hot girlfriend Christina. I was not an outdoors person before I met her. I was not a hiker. I would like hike recreationally.
Yeah.
But I met her 5 years ago, and she's changed my life in a lot of ways. But in that respect, I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, which I wouldn't recommend it, it's not a very interesting follow, but I hike a lot, and that's pretty much the only thing I post is that me hiking from wherever. But it's healthy, and I definitely recommend it. And this hike to the bungee cord is definitely something you got to do.
All right, next time I'm in California, I'm going.
Yes,
but yeah, I did see you do have this beautiful girlfriend. You guys look happy. I mean,
she's super hot. Yeah.
Instagram will like automatically, you only post good times if people are like, oh, that guy's happier than I am, but no, it looks legit. How you could see it that you guys look pretty stoked together. Dude, congratulations on that right there.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Go to his Instagram, people. Check it out. I don't know, Horse, I probably gave you some photos to plop on the screen. There's one right there. So one thing I like to do, Jace, when I get a guest on here is I like to talk about who you are, where you've been, and where you're at now. Obviously, most of us know you from where you've been, but I want to skip that part and go right to where you're at now. Obviously, you jumped from one legend to another legend. I know there was a station in between there, but now you're working with Doug Gottlieb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the hell, dude? You're just you're getting struck by lightning over and over again. This is great.
Well, the origin story to Gottlieb is, I think it was 2001 or 2002. He was a senior at Oklahoma State, and they were a pretty damn good basketball team. I think he led the nation in assists.
Is that right?
And he was from where I'm from, in Orange County in California, and he asked to be on the Jim Rome show. His senior year of college. And he was a shit talker back then. He still is, but he was back then. And he just wanted to come on and run smack. Like his old man listened to Jim Rome. He listened to Jim Rome. And I was booking the show at the time. So when his sports information director, the communications director for the school, called and said, Doug wants to come on, and I'm like, yeah, we always wanted people that wanted to be on the show, right? So he came on and he just talked shit, and he was a great guest as a senior in college. So you fast forward 20 plus years, and during COVID, I lost my job in TV. So I'm unemployed for the very first time ever. Never know what you're going to do. I was thinking maybe the universe is telling me that I need to get a real job for once in my career, that I need to go out and get a real job. But no, Doug actually asked for me. He lost his producer.
Nice.
His producer actually got promoted up to the Cowherd show, and he asked our boss to call me and see if I'd be interested, and I jumped on it. So Doug is a much different animal than Jim Rome. I mean, Doug is he's going to go places where you probably shouldn't. Like, he takes a lot of shit on Twitter. Like he takes stances that you're not supposed to take, like post-COVID, where everyone just kind of really got safe and I better not say anything to save my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like he still says some stuff that you're not supposed to say. So that's all. I'm all about that. So it's a cool show to work on. Yeah.
Yeah. When you were on the Woodscopes last time, you were talking about when you were on the Jim Rome show, a lot of things changed after the big nip slip on the Super Bowl. And
that's right.
That's when things changed, and it seems like you kind of missed those days. And for Doug Gottlieb to kind of flirt with that line, sounds like you're kind of into that.
No doubt.
I remember when he was on. He used to be CBS, right?
Doug has been in all three like major radio networks, and he's done some TV, or he did TV. He started off on ESPN. They gave him a job as a relatively young guy, as an ex-athlete, and then he went to CBS. I think the same time Jim went to CBS, they also brought Gottlieb in. So I think
he was on
followed
before,
us. Right? Yeah, he followed us on the network.
Yeah, I remember when he left. He was like, he was talking about how much he used to listen to the Jim Rome show. I won't forget. I listened to the last episode, and he's like, he gave Jim Rome a huge amount of props about how he came into this career, and I was like, dude, I wonder how many other broadcasters are like that. I don't know. He was kind of a pioneer for the smack and talking shit.
I know for a fact, and Colin has told me this personally, because I worked at FS1 before they laid me off. I was on the Fox lot doing Fox Sports stuff, and I've talked to Colin Cowherd many times, and he said specifically that when he first got into the business, Jim Rome was the guy that he was shooting for. He listened to Jim every day in Portland, and he was the guy that he wanted to eclipse. So no, there are, I'm guessing, hundreds of those examples of people that listened to Jim, said, I could do that. I'm going to try to do that. And a lot of people have been successful in kind of emulating the same style,
Yeah. It's very cool. Very cool. So how long have you been with Doug Gottlieb now?
I think it's going to be 2 years here pretty quick. I think it's 2 years exactly, actually.
Nice. 2 years today. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
So, obviously, dude, there's a lot of things we could troll you about, like the sitting in the dorm room at Cal State Fullerton with 8 other guys. That's probably the thing you hear most about on Twitter. But okay, so you and I talked about this last time. I want to hear it over again. How you became Jay Stu and the Jim Rome Show. It wasn't just, dude, the hiring process is unbelievable. It's funny to hear your version of it. So if you don't mind.
No, it's a good story. So I mean, as you know, like, I was a caller on the show. I was in the 95 Smack Off as a caller. The first Smack Off when JT the Brick won, I was an invited caller. So I had been a fairly known caller in my college years. So I left college as a big fan of the show and the big fan of Jim. But I frankly thought when I got out of college that I could just have my own show like Jim. I honestly thought that I could be like kind of a Howard Stern, Jim Rome mix. That was kind of my goal coming out of college. But did a couple of production jobs, got into radio finally, and I was working in San Francisco as a producer of Ron Barr's show on Sports Byline USA. I don't know how many of the clones know what that is or who that is, but Google it. Sports Byline USA was in downtown San Francisco. I got to live and work in San Francisco, and it's amazing. Still one of my favorite towns. I know it's gone to shit. I know it takes a lot of heat, but it's still a great town. But Jim Rome, one day, as I'm driving to work over the Bay Bridge, I hear him say on the radio that we're looking to add a member to the team. Add a member to the team. Steve Carbone at the time, Reality Steve, was leaving the show. I think that's how Jim put it. He basically was getting fired, and they needed to replace him. So this is what Jim said: fax in your resume. In 1999 or 1998, that's what you did. You faxed in your resume. I faxed in my resume. I was told at the time that it was among like thousands of resumes that Jim got on his show. They dwindled it down to 3 finalists. And I was one of them. Because I really played the card that I was the former caller Jason and Fullerton, and Jim recognized it and everything else. So they flew me down to Los Angeles to interview for the job. And I walked out of that interview thinking I did a pretty good job, but that I was one of 3 finalists. Well, they hired somebody first. 3 months later, they hired somebody the second guy. So about 6 months later, I got a call basically saying, "You're up. Are you still interested in doing it?" And I said, "Hell yes." So
Nice.
I left my job in San Francisco and moved back to Southern California where I had grown up. And so I started the day after the Eagles drafted, the Monday after the weekend that the Eagles drafted Donovan McNabb.
Nice.
So that was, I think it was like Andy Reid's first year, April 1999. And I remember specifically that a take that Jim had was that the Colts were foolish for not drafting Ricky Williams and taking Edgerrin James instead of Ricky Williams.
Right,
and
right.
everyone remembers Mike Ditka, I think, gave up his entire draft pick selections for Ricky Williams. Edgerrin James went on to win the Hall of Fame, or go in the Hall of Fame and a Super Bowl. But anyways, long story short, that was my first day of work in April of 1999, and I left in April of 2013, 10 years ago. So it was a long reign.
When you're okay, I'm going to talk about that first day a little bit. Like, how surreal. Like, I'm actually working for the guy, the radio show. Like, what was the atmosphere like when you walked in? Hi, I'm Jay Stu. Hi, I'm Jay Stu. I'm Jason from Fullerton.
Yeah.
The color. What was that like?
First of all, Travis Rogers, who's still a dear friend to this day. He was the EP at the time. He didn't give a shit that I was Jason in Fullerton. He just wanted me to be a valuable part of the creative process. So that was a little bit humbling in that I didn't really walk in with any credentials. It was basically, now that you're on the payroll, now we need you to start working and be good. And I knew that two guys had been run out in like 6 months. So it's like,
right.
I knew the pressure was kind of on. So I had to find a niche pretty quick. But I mean, to answer your question, yeah, it was really surreal to watch the person that you had listened to so many hours of radio, because obviously not until the last 5 or 6 years, Jim did not televise his radio show. So you just kind of listen to this voice forever and ever. And then you walk into the studio, and we were a 4-hour show at that time, which is an eternity to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just watch him do his process and stuff. And you just kind of find yourself just kind of watching in awe and being impressed. But then at some point I needed to get to work and make a mark. And I think I told you this the last time, that Travis is an extremely creative producer, and he offered a lot of ideas to the show. He's one of the original people who came up with the Smack Off, but he hated booking guests. He just couldn't stand booking guests. And I had done some of that in San Francisco, and I'm like, this might be a niche that I could probably get a stronghold into the show if I start becoming valuable and booking guests on Jim's show.
Mm-hmm.
Little do they know, and I have never admitted this to them, that it became pretty damn easy to get really good guests on the Jim Rome Show, because at that point he was that irreverent guy that everyone just kind of wanted to be a part of the show. So It was like, it wasn't necessarily me grinding it out and trying to get the best names and stuff. A lot of guys just kind of came in because he was Jim Rome. So it was kind of an easy job, but I wasn't going to tell anybody that,
Right. With that said, do you remember, like, okay, here, I guess two-part question. Was it your job as the booker to come up with these guests, or did Jim say, hey, go get this guy, or did you just like, okay, I just saw this guy on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I'm gonna go get him? Was that your job, or was that Rome?
There was I remember at the beginning there was a process. It was like, I knew the guys that Jim was a fan of, the guys that Jim talked about a lot, that he had a lot of admiration for. I also knew the guys that Jim just killed on the radio every day, and I knew that those guys probably weren't going to come on the show. So, but over time, I think I got the trust from Jim to just, he just kind of trusted my instincts and my judgment, and it was on me. And every once in a while, I'd book a guy and he would kind of give me a sideways look and be like, why are we having this guy on the show? And at that point, he's boss, and I'll just be like, okay, I'll unschedule him, but let me tell you, let me sell you on this person. This is why I thought about him. And every once in a while there would be a little back and forth, but I'd say over those 14 years, it was like 90% of the guys that were on the show were just guys that I thought would be a good mix. And as you know, we had a lot of repeat customers, Steve Elkington and, the guys that would just come on repeatedly. Those were easy. But every once in a while we got like a one-off that was exceptionally good and everyone felt good about it. And I took pride in those things,
Those one-offs. What were some of the ones that you got? Ring. Hi, it's Jay Stewart. I can't believe I'm actually talking to Kobe Bryant. What are some of those interactions you've had that like kind of blew you away? Like, I can't believe this is my job. I have to do this.
Well, from a personal level, there's two answers to that. A personal level is this. I grew up a big George Brett fan. I was always a Dodger guy, but George Brett was like my guy. That was the guy that I followed. I emulated my left-handed swing. I played third base. I was George Brett. He was my guy. So the first time I was able to actually speak with George Brett, that was pretty freaking surreal. Booking George Brett, talking to him. So on a personal level, that was pretty amazing. But this probably sounds like really strange, like in a vacuum, because there you go. Yes, I like
have
it.
4,000 Royals hats. I can't find any of them at the moment.
I love it. And this one sounds kind of weird, and that's another baseball guy. But at some point we were on the air once talking about something. Mm-hmm. And the hotline calls, and it's Roger Clemens, and it's Roger Clemens like at the peak of his athletic career when he was on the roids, and we didn't know he was on the roids, or we knew but nobody was talking about it. So Roger Clemens was like a superstar athlete who just called the hotline once and was like, yeah, me and my son are listening. I got something to say about this. I forget what the subject was, but that was pretty freaking surreal. Remember when Mike Vick, when he got out of prison, the first national radio interview that he did was us.
Really?
I took pride in that one. That was
nice.
That was a great conversation. We put him on, and he answered all the questions about what he got in trouble for and the dogs and all that stuff. So that was cool. So those things stick out,
That would be cool. You can tell him about Paul's dog, huh?
Yes.
I don't know. Anyhow. Mike Vick. Dude, seriously, that's so cool that you were the guy who channeled those calls. But you also, not only that, you took phone calls from a bunch of clones who turned into something. Obviously, a lot of us know the Left and Laguna call.
That's right.
But Brad, I talked to Brad yesterday, and he said when you're talking to Jay Stu, ask him if he remembers.
Wait a minute. That's such a name drop. You and Brad just have these offline conversations. You and Brad and Corona.
Yeah, Brad are tight. We're bros, bro.
What a name dropper, man! Holy shit.
No, it was actually some Brad in Florence. I just tell people he's from Corona. No, yeah, he wanted me to ask you if you remember talking to. Actually, let me see if I can find where's my phone. I'll see what he said. J Stu, Mr. Automatic. Where we at? Brad and Corona. Actually, I lied about this question. He said, ask him if he remembers the name of the porno that the 9 dudes were watching in the CSUF.
It's really, I'm kind of disappointed in Brad. Like that's such like a low hanging fruit.
Yeah, right.
Like I know it comes up a lot. I get it. It's fun. It's a funny story. I think it's funny, but it's really low hanging fruit. I expect more out of Brad,
Right. Yeah, me too. Come on, Brad. I doubt he's even watching, dude. He's too important.
But he was my son Jacob lives in Corona. So right? So when Brad in Corona called for the first time or the first couple times, that's what kind of stuck in my mind. Like I spent a lot of time in Corona. Nice. But I think he eventually moved. I don't know if I should be telling people this, but I don't know if he lives in Corona. But anyways, I think the secret's out by now. It's got to be. But the best line I ever remember hearing about Brad and Corona was when Doc Mike was still calling the show. I don't know if anybody out there remembers Doc Mike.
Oh yeah.
But Doc Mike Diatola, he used to be like a legend back in the 90s and stuff. He's a dentist. But anyways, his came
brother
in,
Jeff called too.
Yeah, brother Jeff, yeah.
Diatolas.
Yeah. He called in like in the post Brad and Corona era, like during that smack off time, and he said something that just cracks me up to this day. He's like, I'm sorry, I always thought that you were Brandon Corona. I didn't think anybody would actually admit to being in Corona. I thought you were Brandon Corona.
Right. And like Lev is always, he's always, like, oh, Corona jokes are. Yeah. And of course, in 2020, Jim Rome's like, I think you were even in the smack off in 2020. He's like, don't even make any Corona jokes. I'm like, come on, dude. You were in a smack off. The last one you were in was probably 2020, right?
Man, is that it?
I think so.
It seems like it was before then, but you could be right.
You called in a week before, and you were given the formula on how to win a smack off.
Oh no, I gave the formula. I had left in 2013, and I think Kyle Brandt asked me to be in the smack off the following year. That's when I did the formula. So that was like 2014. I may have done my last call in 2020. I may have before everything shut down, right? Because everything shut down in March or April of 2020.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even remember a smack off that year. Was it before coronavirus? I don't even know.
Is that for that? Actually,
I'm
now
getting
that
my
you
years
mention
confused.
I was at Lorelei when you called last. It was first hour, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I think if I was at Lorelei, it was probably Smack Off 25, the big one. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Jay Stu, freaking Mr. Automatic, dude. So,
could I don't listen a lot nowadays, so you have to fill me in. What has been your history of being on the show as a caller? What, like, if you could sum up in a couple sentences, like what your history has been and how Jim considers you as a caller, like what's the I don't know your history as a caller.
I'm just the guy who does the sideshow about the Jim Rome show. I came in just a guy who tweets the show a lot, and I was getting read a lot, and then Periscope became a thing, and I decided to jump on Periscope, and then I got lucky. I was one of the first people to do it. I mean, there was others doing it, but I was one of the first people to do it, and I just went along with it every week and turned it into a thing.
But didn't you call? I thought you called in a couple of times. No,
I did. I have called in, and yeah, I think what you're thinking last time I talked to you is my very first call. It was like the stars were all lining up. He was talking about the Woodscopes. Larry was on. He was like, "Yeah, we were on the chat. We were talking about it." And so I was like, "I have a half day of work today. I have to call Jim Rome." And so I called, dude. I was like so freaking nervous, and I was in the car. I was driving to my son's. From where I live to Green Bay is like a 20-minute drive. So I was driving to Green Bay, and I called in, and Adam answered. Adam knew me at the time, and he said, "Yeah, hold on." And I instantly started getting these stomach cramps. Like, dude, am I gonna shit my pants while I'm talking to Jim Rome for the first time? And I literally pulled over. I found a Walmart parking lot, and I was like, okay, settle down. And I got through the phone call. It was more of an interview more than a typical.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was. Jim was asking me like, who've you had on? What? Tell me about when you're going to do this. And then every now and then it was, I would call in and just say, tonight we have Chris Pedregon on, or some of the other guests that he's had on the show, and yeah, a good relationship with Adam Hawk, and
Adam's a good guy. I like Adam.
Adam's a great guy, and that's another thing I was going to bring up too. It's been a few years since you've been removed from the show, but there's been guys who've come in and out, and the one common denominator, I talk to Austin Huff a lot, that I get is that everyone who is involved in that show is still best friends with Alvin DeLauro. Tell me that's you too, right? I just know it is.
Alvin's really he's really easy to love. I mean, he's just a really good guy. And I mean, he told me he knew I was coming on today, and he told me, you know, have fun. And he says he really wants to come on the show. He's just waiting for you to ask him. But no, Alvin is great. I can't believe you dropped Austin Huff's name. Like, you are such a name dropper. Brad and Corona 10 minutes ago, Austin Huff right now. Like, my goodness, dude.
I love Austin Huff, dude. I want him to host the Jim Rome show. That's my goal in life. Number 1, get Jim Rome on the Woodscopes. Done. Number 2, talk Jim Rome into putting Austin Huff on for a guest. Dude, Austin Huff as a guest. Actually, Jay Stu as a guest host would be freaking rad. I would vote for that. Press 1 if you agree with me. I already
that would take some radio gymnastics, because I would get off the air guest hosting on CBS radio, and then I would have to be the executive producer on a Fox Sports radio show.
Yeah, that's
right afterwards, like a minute afterwards. So that would take some gymnastics.
It's like it's like the Bloods and the Crips, really. You know, you can't be. It's the Jeff Passan thing. We all love Jeff Passan, and all of a sudden he leaves Yahoo. He goes to Fox Sports, and Jim's like, I can't have him on anymore. And he said it on the show, like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Even though he still has. But
by the way, I hope Jeff gets better. I know he had an accident recently. That's horrible.
Is that right?
Yeah, he broke his back.
I don't mean to name drop, but he's been on the Woodscopes too.
Awesome. Good for you. I hope he heals quick.
He broke his back for real?
Yeah, it was some accident where a tree fell on him. I'm not joking. Google it.
Really? Is he still in Kansas City? Do you know?
I'm not sure where he's based out of. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where the tree was, but no, I heard about it, and it was kind of. I mean, our news cycle is so fast that, like, it was like a 10 a.m. on a Wednesday story. Jeff Passan breaks his back, and then we're on to other things. Yeah, it was crazy.
I don't know, Horse, if you or I don't know if you're able to find some.
I'm efforting.
All right, cool. Dude, I thought you were just joking about that. You're serious. Jeff Passan's in. All right. Wow. But anyhow, going back to some of these callers you've talked to. There's 2 of them I'm going to ask you about, because I don't think I mentioned that we talked about this last time, and I have a feeling you were the guy. Matt in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And Toby in Houston. Are you the guy who grabbed those calls?
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 big ones. Like the Toby in Houston one. I think when Adam Hawk was producing that show, they did like a I forget what was it called?
The Box of Chaos.
Yeah, where they played the Toby in Houston call, and Jim brought me on to tell the story of the call screening.
Is that right?
And that was a cool day. Yeah, that was like
Larry Brown.
It's kind of hard to explain to just a stranger off the street what that. I just called into the Jim Rome show, and I talked about screening a caller who went on and talked about Larry Brown's. It was just, just so surreal. Like, I remember the day because, like, when was that? Like maybe 2006, 2005. I forget when it was.
Bacon will know.
Yeah, and I remember getting the call, and when he said the story to me off air, because I never trusted any clones. Like, if a clone told me, man, I got a great story, just let me tell it on the air, trust me, it's great. I don't trust clones. I'm not going to put my job on the line for a clone. So I'm like, tell me the story, dude. And he tells me the story that ends in him looking up at Larry Brown's crank, and I just start like laughing out loud, and I can't stop laughing. And I'm like, hold on, dude. And I put him on hold, and I write in like Toby Houston, then Larry Brown's story. And I almost never vouch for a caller. I would never be like, Jim, you got to take this call, because inevitably, if I ever did that, the call would suck and it would be on me. But I'm like, Jim, trust me on this one. You probably need to hear this story. And the rest is history,
Right in my face.
I can't imagine, like, you're on the phone, the guy's like, so Larry Brown, his dong was in my face. Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know if he has since. Again, I'm a casual listener, follower of the show, so you tell me. But Kyle Brandt's, I remember one of his fixations. Kyle Brandt was like, "Why doesn't Toby and Houston call the show back? Why doesn't he call us back?
Yeah, right.
Why doesn't he ever do a reappearance?" And has Toby ever resurfaced, or is it still the same? Okay,
I think he maybe got too embarrassed or something. It's like you kind of wish that Matt in Cleveland never called again, because he kind of ruined his whole.
Val Kilmer,
Exactly.
Christy Alley, Global Warming.
He was
that's
good
great
until he actually called again. And it's like that's what Jim Rome killed I don't know. I think you might have been there at the time when he killed the hack off. Like, no more hack off.
Yeah, I was there when he killed the hack off. Yeah,
you're ruining your. Yeah, I was listening live that day, and I was like, oh my gosh, taking his call. Did he give you the Cliff Notes?
I think he did give me the Cliff Notes. I think he may have actually gave me what the actual comments were.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I never really trusted any caller. So I pretty much had them give me what they're, unless they were a trusted caller that has been on the show. If Vic and NoCal called and was like, I want to talk about this, this, and this, I would just give Jim the subjects and it would be good. But some guy named Matt in Cleveland calls, I probably had him tell me what his takes were. So they were good enough off air for me to put him on hold. And then he gets on hold and he almost died. And we honestly thought that there was a chance he stopped breathing. That was an honest concern by all of us in the crew as we were holding back our laughter, of course. But
of course.
Yeah.
Did you guys have caller ID? Like, could you call him back?
I thought he had called back to verify that he was alive. Right. That sounds familiar. I mean, I don't know how many calls did I take over the years, but I think that did happen. I don't think he went back on the air, but I think he called to verify he was alive. So
that's another one of those ones I tried to reach out to and I couldn't find him. I mean, like, I could go through the phone book and look up Matt's in Cleveland. There's too many of them. If his name was Lef. Now, speaking of Lef, did you like the segue? It's pretty good. I like that one. Lef in Laguna always tells the story about the time when he first called in 2014, I think. Mm-hmm. And he said that Jay Stu said Lef, kind of name is Lef, and hung up on him.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I know I don't remember it, but I don't deny it.
Yeah.
So I left in April of 2013. So it was probably a few months before then. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just remember by that time, especially by that time, I was 13 years in. I had zero patience for callers. Probably too. I was probably a little too quick with the callers. And so him just saying his name was Lef in Laguna, it sounded made up. It sounded like he was trolling me, and I had zero time for that stuff. So the story that he tells is like, dude, that's not your real name, and I hung up on him. I do not deny that at all. It sounds exactly like something I would do, because I just needed to get to people that I could trust to put on the air so Jim wouldn't give me shit if they sucked, you know.
What are some highlights of your tenure at Jim Rome that most of us don't know about? Like, do you have anything that's like, oh my gosh, I got to tell this story someday?
Are you talking about callers? Are you talking about
anything?
The stuff that I was able to do because of the Jim Rome show?
You're at a party and people were talking like you were Jay Stu from the Jim Rome show. Mm-hmm. Tell me what happened there. Like,
yeah. No, and by the way, that was not a really cool like thing to say in a bar, like to like a prospective woman back in my 20s and 30s. Like, I was a really big deal to like a small corner of the world that was mostly men. So I can never utilize that. I can never be like, hey, I'm Jay Stu from the Jim Rome show and utilize that for female attention. So so that never happened, first and foremost. But no, I just think that like over time, when Stan Brooks had put me in his movies, and then out of nowhere one day, the producer for Jim Belushi's sitcom called and said, we've heard what Jim says when you do your other acting gigs, and we've seen your acting. Would you like to be in an episode of According to Jim? And it was like, at that point, it all just kind of like, that was like, my God, like I'm getting called by like a legitimate like network sitcom that I think was pretty popular, or had been popular at least. And I was like, that kind of speaks to just kind of how big the show had become, and how big kind of my character on the show had become. And that like, I could put Jim Rome's guy in our show and we'll get publicity. Jim Belushi came into the studio to do an hour with Jim. That would have never happened if obviously I hadn't been on the show, and like they would talk me up all the time, and just you know how it went. The way that the acting gigs went is that I would do my movie or my TV show. We would play what my scene was, and the clones would just shit on it. But when we had the actors that were in the scenes with me come on the show, they would go the opposite direction. Like they would talk me up like I was Robert De Niro. So it was like, that was how that whole thing went. But that was like a kind of a moment where I was like, you know what? This show has accomplished so much, and I have become a kind of a weird, just kind of like character on the show where I can get paid to do like accredited TV shows, and it was pretty crazy.
Do you still get these royalty checks every now
Yes.
and then?
I post them all the time.
1 penny. I've seen them.
Yes.
I've seen them.
Yes.
That's pretty good. There's the scenes. The one scene I remember most is, of course, you're sitting there wiping a bar. What movie is this? Wiping a bar.
No, that was According to Jim. Yeah.
Wiped a counter. No, it was a movie. Some lady comes up to you and he's like, "Oh, mother-daughter routine."
Oh, I'm sorry. The bartender, the mother-daughter routine.
Yeah. And I was watching you wipe that bar down. I was like, has he ever wiped a table?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I put a lot of research into that. I went to a lot of bars and watched bartenders for hours.
I bet you did.
Stan Brooks tells me that that's his favorite one. Stan's a friend of mine. We always go to Dodger games together, and he'll always bring up that particular scene because, he flew me up to, I think it was Toronto, and he paid me for a couple of days, and we shot that scene with Gina Gershon, and there was something wrong with the way that my line had been received. Like the audio wasn't good enough. I don't know if I didn't talk loud enough, or like the mic that they put on me wasn't good enough, or the boom mic wasn't good enough. So that Stan said, the audio that we have from your scene isn't usable right now. We need to retrack your lines. And by retracking them, usually an actor will just go into a sound booth and redo his lines, and according to the lips on the film. But Stan thought of the idea of retracking my lines live on the Jim Rome show.
No.
So one day Stan comes on, and Kyle Brandt sent this whole thing up where Stan Brooks comes on and he directs me to say, whatever the line was. She says, "I'm looking for Debbie," and I say, "You want to do a mother-daughter routine," whatever it was. I said those lines on the Jim Rome show, and those are the actual lines that they put into the TV movie. So if you go to YouTube right now and you watch it, you'll see that my lips don't necessarily sync up with what I'm saying.
I'm gonna watch that.
I got it right now if you want it.
Yeah, play it if you don't mind.
Hold on. Give me audio here.
Excuse me, I'm looking for Debbie.
She your friend?
She's my daughter.
You want to do a mother-daughter routine? Name your price.
If you could just show me where she is, please.
Dude, Gershon looks like she's just legitimately pissed at you.
Yeah, she pretty much was. But that's a little trivia with that. For those clones that don't remember that day, we retracked my lines on the Jim Rome show. Stan says it's never been done in the history of TV or radio, and there's a reason why, because the audio probably was substandard. But anyways,
you need to get a wiki page. Actually, that should be on your IMDb page. the lines from what movie is that?
What was that movie called? It was Everything She Ever Wanted. I think it was Gina Gershon. I think was a mass murderer or something. She was. She was a complicated person.
I said in the opening credits that you were a part of many blockbusters. Obviously that one there is a blockbuster. Dude, okay, so you've been on a movie with Lou Diamond Phillips. Dude, I love Lou Diamond Phillips. I know he's not, maybe I just feel like he's underrated. You know what I mean?
He still does great work. He still does great work.
Have you ever seen the movie Courage Under Fire?
Yeah.
I love that movie, dude.
Meg Ryan and
Matt Damon's in there.
That's right.
And Denzel Washington. Go watch that movie, people. Jay Stu's in there. He's handing out. No, you were a cameraman on one movie, just barely in that movie. You worked a lot with our good friend Jay Moore. He's not my friend. I've never talked to him in my life, but
you haven't had him on the show?
No. That's not.
Oh wow, that'd be a big get.
I think that's one of those things where it's like, no, we shouldn't. I don't know. And there's
I think you should. I think you should.
I'll reach out to him. I'm sure he'll see us.
I know Jay's been through the shit. I think he's told people he's kind of he's been in and out of recovery and whatnot, and I wish him the best. But Jay and I became friends. Jay was, as you know, a regular guest host on the show, and
loved him.
The way it was set up was whenever Jim would take time off, Travis and then Kyle would take time off with Jim. So I was the producer for the guest host. So over the years, it's been like the who's who of like sports broadcasting. Like Skip Bayless was a regular fill-in for us a while back. I've worked, dozens and dozens of hours with him. And then Joe Buck did it once. I remember Jim Gray did it once. The Entourage guys did it once. They came in at the height of the Entourage thing. The cast came in and guest hosted a show. But anyways, I would work closely with them when they would do it. So when Jay was in for all those guest hosting appearances, it was me producing the show. And those were some of the most fun I've ever had on broadcasts were those Jay Moore shows.
Jay Moore.
He was exceptionally talented. He knew the show. He knew the notes to hit on the show. And he was just really good at what he did. So, and then he put me in his sitcom for a couple episodes. So that was cool too.
Did. But yeah, when you guys had him on, I remember those days, and I wasn't a huge like everyday listener. But when I would hear that Jim Rome was out, fingers crossed, Jay Moore. If it's not Jay Moore, maybe I'll catch next day. And it's like, dude, I remember he did this bit. What was it on? You were involved. Had something to do with like a smock. Do you remember this?
No, I remember.
Hickory dickory dock, Jay Stu was wearing a smock.
I've got that audio if you want it.
Oh, we got to hear this.
This is a real great tweet from Dean, no longer in O. Hickory dickory dock, Jay Stu.
He's still laughing, isn't he?
If you guys keep sending Dice tweets or emails, I swear to God, it'll be the greatest day of my life. Hickory dickory dock. Chase Tooth. You don't understand what I'm seeing before I read it. You just hear me laughing and you don't realize what I'm reading. I'm sorry. Everybody listening, I'm sorry.
Does he get through it? I don't remember if he gets through it or not.
Yeah, he eventually gets through it, but yeah, it's about 3 minutes long, but you don't want to hear
I remember hearing that live and I was laughing so hard I couldn't even drive my car.
I specifically remember that day. That was Jay did a couple things when he would fill in for us. He would do the Dice Clay stuff.
Yeah.
But then what was really popular was that he used to do the intro to the the CSI with the version. What was the name of the redhead?
CSI Miami. It was
with the Who
Caruso.
song, right? Yeah.
Yes. And we would get these emails and tweets or whatever, and we would just replay the Who song, and then he would read whatever the intro was, and those were so fucking funny, really good.
Bacon, we got any of those?
No.
Okay. No. Yeah, dude, those were some of my favorites. And then after he was a thing on the Jim Rome show, it was like, hopefully it's Kyle Brandt. Hopefully it's Kyle Brandt. Were you ever producing when Kyle Brandt ended up being a guest host?
Yeah. I want to say it was the last 18 months or so that I worked there that Kyle started doing the guest hosting. And I remember I just said this week on the other interview that I remember thinking during that time, and even before he started guest hosting, like he's going to do something beyond this, above and beyond this. I don't know if above, but beyond this. Kyle was just kind of like just like wildly talented guy behind the scenes, and then when he started guest hosting, real smart, real quick, as the clones know. He's real easy to like, and he got the tempo of the show just like Jay did. But I remember thinking at that time that he's going to do something in this line of business, sports broadcasting. So he's become like a superstar over at the NFL Network. So I'm proud of him.
Yeah, every time I see him on Twitter, he's like, I don't remember. There was a photo of him with, I don't remember, someone in the studio, and I was like, dude, like he was a little guy on I think you were there when he got hired, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was 2007. Yeah.
What I guess when he came in and you were producing the show. Did you teach him like did you have to teach him like the Jim Rome like flow, or did he understand that when he came in?
Well, I mean, Kyle is really smart, so I think he kind of picked up on things pretty quick. But no, I mean, I'm older than Kyle, and obviously I had been there many years, so I could say that I kind of I don't know, gave him some tips how to kind of get along, how to get on and get along. And no, it's, we're at the top of the industry. Like we were the show at the top. So it's like the standards were very high when he got there. The expectations were very high when he got there. So me being kind of the old vet, I definitely kind of told him what was up and showed him the ropes a little bit. But his creativity and his energy and his humor, that stuff, you just can't teach that stuff. So I can't take any credit for that.
Yeah, he's kind of born with a gift.
It is.
I know you're still friends with T. Rogers and Brian Beckner. I see you guys doing.
Did you have Beckner on this show?
I have. I love Beckner, dude. He's funny as hell. He's awesome. Funny as hell. It's like awesome. It was so candid. Like most of the conversation was just candid. And we started talking about the what's on the notes, but it's like 4 seconds into it, I had Silk Brock calling me up. He's like, I was in this wedding. I don't remember if he was in the wedding, and it was just, dude. Brian was. I got to get him on again. He was fun. And
you should. So we host I think the last time you had me on, we were doing this, but we do a podcast about The Bachelor, and we're two like middle-aged white guys doing a podcast about a really like chick show, TV show, big like woke chick TV show. So it's like we kind of give a different angle on things. It's an easy show to make fun of. The show's despicable in every way, shape, or form, but I can't stop watching it. And me and Brian just kind of make fun of it for about an hour each week. So find it on the Bachelor Lifestyle, The Bachelor Lifestyle.
So is Carbone on that show often, or is that is that right?
He's not on often, but we typically put him on at the beginning of each season and or the end of each season, because Steve Carbone, Reality Steve, has had this niche as a spoiler. Like he's the leading Bachelor spoiler ever. So I know that's kind of a weird thing, but that he's made an industry doing that. And Beckner and I, we don't traffic in spoilers. We just kind of watch the show and react to it and just leave it at that. Reality Steve is the opposite. Reality Steve knows who's going to win, what's going to happen during episodes, and he knows all the juice that happened behind the scenes. Beckner and I don't get caught up in any of that, so we bring Steve on to give us all that once or twice a season.
That's right. Carbone was also one time when I had a bunch of Smack Off guys and I had him on. We chatted about his breaking spoilers and stuff and how he's almost gotten. I mean, I think he has gotten sued for it.
Did he tell you? Did he admit to you that I took his job as the call screener on Jim Rome?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he got fired.
I forgot that he worked there until you mentioned it just recently.
Yeah, he got fired, and I was able to get hired 3 guys later.
Do you guys still do podcasts where you break down shitty, corny 80s movies?
Yeah.
You still do that? Because those made me laugh my ass off.
Oh, good. Yeah. So Beckner has Beckner's brand is the Baller Lifestyle. So if you search the Baller Lifestyle podcast, he does a weekly show, and then he'll have me on and Travis Rogers on and other people on to break down movies every once in a while. We do it, I don't know, once or twice a year at least. And then the Bachelor Lifestyle, our Bachelor podcast, is kind of an offshoot of his Baller Lifestyle brand. So that's how that works.
Yeah, Brian Beckner, you guys go check that out. He's not lying. It's very good content.
It is.
Are you talking iTunes or Apple iPod?
All the above. All the above.
Yeah. iTunes, Spotify.
Yep.
YouTube. You guys doing video or
no? We don't do YouTube. We don't do that stuff.
All right.
I thought this was a phoner. That's how.
Did you say a boner? I think you said a boner. We don't do that on this show, dude. I know you're pretty sick like that, but all right. So I know you said that I haven't asked Alvin DeLauro to be on this show yet. I just keep forgetting to ask him. Dude, he's probably blocked me on Twitter. I've asked him too many times, but I've had Austin Huff come on here.
Dude, no.
And I said, Austin, can you do me a favor? Look in the camera and say, Alvin, can you come on the Woodscopes? Can you do that for me too, Jay Stu? Right now?
Yeah. Alvin, you have nothing to lose. I mean, this would do so much for your brand, Alvin DeLauro.
Dude, no.
Alvin will tell you that I was kind of I was the first to do Twitter on the show. Right. And I'm gonna say this right now, that I started doing Twitter on the show, and then I talked Kyle Brandt and Jim and Alvin into getting on Twitter. But Alvin, I think his name was taken at the time, and I started his Twitter account, and his initial Twitter handle was the real Alvin DE. It didn't fly off the tongue at all. It's just the real Alvin DE was his first Twitter account. I think he's since got his full name, but
yeah, he sure does. Alvin is, who doesn't love Alvin? You guys press ones if you don't like Alvin.
I don't know anybody who doesn't dislike him. Yeah.
He's a lovable character. The blind date is gonna be something we have to mention really quick. I saw Roger Lodge do this thing on YouTube. It was probably aired back in 1947 or something like that, where he says that Jay Stu a radio. Horse, do we have the audio?
Yep. Give me a second here. Efforting.
He's Hall of Shame.
That's right.
We're gonna play this here in a second.
Welcome back to the Blind Date Hall of Shame. Now, when we sent Jason, who works in sports radio, out on a date, we thought of all people, this guy would know how to score. Boy, were we ever wrong.
I go 3 and 4 days without bathing or showering or soaping.
And that's something you want to tell everyone? What is the number one thing about a woman that really turns you on?
I really like a woman's, especially when they've been sweating.
Yeah. All right, kill it. Kill it.
chest you got there.
Oh, dude. So that was you being a big troll on America's first reality shows. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I have a pretty quirky sense of humor, so I'm not saying that my sense of humor is easy to pick up on, but she did not pick up on my sense of humor the entire date. So, I mean, they start the filming at like noon, and we went until midnight. By the time we had gotten in like the hot tub and stuff, it was like midnight. And then they do their like post date interviews and stuff. So it's like past midnight by the time you're done. That's a long day to spend with somebody that you have no attraction to. She wasn't attracted to me. She didn't understand my sense of humor, and I think she was just damn annoyed at me for the entire day. Which made for good TV. I kind of had my agenda, which was entertaining millions of mostly male sports radio fans.
Yeah.
And then her agenda was to be seen. She wanted to be an actor or a model. She wanted to be discovered. That's why she was doing the show. So neither of us, I think, had the agenda of falling in love. But I think I got on her nerves a little bit. So
when you were on that Brian Finley episode, I think you were talking a little bit about this, and that she tried to DM you shortly after.
Yeah,
because the clones were like harassing her like crazy.
It was kind of again the early days of Twitter. So she got on Twitter at some point, and the only reason I knew she got on Twitter is because a bunch of clones told me on Twitter that she was on Twitter. So the clones had kind of gotten to her and probably weren't very nice to her because she DM'd me and said yeah,
listeners, I don't know what
these followers of yours aren't very nice or something like that. Yeah. I asked her actually to come on the radio show. To do kind of a mea culpa, like, 10 years later, let's bury the hatchet, and she wanted nothing to do with it. So, oh well.
Dude, that's some epic. But Roger Lodge was a listener of the Jim Rome Show, if I remember right, and that's how you kind of got that gig.
Yep, he was a diehard listener, and he actually, I was the only single guy on the show at the time, so I think he saw an opportunity to like put somebody on from a real popular radio show, and we could do some pretty good cross promotion, and our ratings were through the roof, and his ratings were through the roof, so I think it was pretty good synergy there. And the date could not have been worse, and it was funny. And we played blind date sound bites until the day I walked off the show. I mean, of course, that was a constant throughout my entire career there.
Well, dude, I am super excited to have you here. You were not only wooden and laconic, but dude, you're Mr. Automatic. I'm proud of the shit you're doing still, even with Doug Gottlieb. Tell him I'm a fan. He probably didn't. I mean, yeah, just say I was on a show of a guy who was a big fan of yours. I miss him being on my CBS Sports Radio. But dude, thank you for doing this. You are the freaking man.
You got it, dude.
You guys press one if you love Jay Stewart. Everyone's pressing one, dude. But
I had a great time, dude, and I hope this did not like go over that. Remember, we talked about that balance you walk of like too long or not long enough. I hope
I'm making up for last time.
I think
making up for last time because I'm serious, dude. Like after you were on, I had DMs from people saying, "Dude, why'd you cut that off too early?" I'm like, I think you were on after Jim Rome, right?
No, I think you had Jim on after me. That was right? You definitely had him after me.
All right. Well, it was one of those things where, okay, when I had Rome on, Adam Hawk's like, okay, you get 30 minutes, not a second more, not a second less. And if you do, we're going to fire you. I'm like, dude, you know what he did to me? I was freaking out that night already. I was freaking out the whole day because they told me the night before that this was going to happen. And Adam was like, okay, he's going to come on. You got the 30 minutes. You're going to ask him the questions that we went over. I gave him a list of questions, and he's like, you're not going to ask him that one. You're going to ask him this one. You're going to ask him that. Okay. So it was very, very tight, and do not go over that 30-minute mark. And the show started at 10 my time, 8:00 your time. And I'm sitting there, 500 people, 600 people, 700 people on the show watching me, and Jim Rome is nowhere to be found.
And you sweat it out, huh?
6 months ago or something like that, we had Adam on the show, and he was like, yeah, you know what we did to you that night? I'm like, you asshole, you fucking asshole. They kept me waiting on purpose, and I panicked. The first 5 minutes of me talking to Jim Rome was me hyperventilating and crying. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, it's just me. But yeah, so that's what they did. So I didn't want to go too long with you because I swear you were after. Maybe you weren't. Yeah, you were after. So I didn't want to go too long. I don't know, whatever. But I just didn't want to go too long with Jay Stu. So now I'm making up for lost time. We had you on the perfect amount.
Had a good time, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're the best. You guys, Jay Stu, follow him on Twitter. I know they're already following you, but dude, I love you, man. Have a great weekend, and tell your girlfriend thank you for sharing time with us. And Alvin DeLauro, he said it. So, all right, dude.
All right. Talk to you, man. Later.
Right, bye. That was Jay Stu, guys. Jay Stu, he's actually still here. No, he's gone. All right, dude. Now we can talk bad about him because he's gone. I'm kidding, dude. Jay Stu was freaking rat. That was rat. I love Jay Stu. Did I say Jay Stu enough? But anyhow, there is going to be a TikTok with most of that in there, and probably an Instagram. Did I miss any questions? Horse bacon. I'm sorry. It looks like there is some shit in there.
There were a couple things in there, but no. Like he said at the beginning, you have to kind of just. You ask the question and you let it flow, which is exactly what happens, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get to all of
them. Oh, no. Too many things to talk about with Jay Stu, man. But yeah, it's good. We also we had I don't know, I don't mean to bring the mood down, but there was a passing in the jungle today. Our friend Wells is no longer with us. Obviously, he's
Wells in a 360. He's fat.
He is dead to the jungle, but still alive as a human being. I told Jerome that we were going to do a memoriam, and I started working on one. And little did I know, Haunted Horse was working on one as well. So we have two of them for you guys. So, if you could horse play either one of those right now.
I'm going to give him yours first.
All right.
Let's see. Here we go.
OJ's friend Charlie tweets at Chris and St. Pete, you almost killed Rome, LOL.
I'm not crying.
All right. So let me read this and respond, and then we move on. Wells in the 1080 is not getting the point. Quote, literally hundreds of players have had multi-homer games and hundreds of pitchers have thrown complete games. Show overrated Ohtani does it, and it's a big deal. Also, Paul's dog brings the program down. I elevate it. That's Wells. Hey, Wells, if by elevating it you mean you make it the worst show in the history of radio, then I would agree. Yes, you elevate it. Listen, dude, I know you're just being a moron for attention, because there's no way you believe this. And yes, it is working, but I'll play along. Yes, guys have done what he did. Pitchers have thrown complete game one hitters. Guys have had multi-home run games. But nobody has ever done it in the same doubleheader, which is the entire point. Dope. The next time you hear your name on this show coming out of my mouth will be never. Set your watch to it. Enjoy your last 3 seconds on this show as it relates to the host of the show. What I'm saying to you, Wells, you've done it. And because you've done it, now you are done. Now you're done.
Hedstrom thought that was long. Mine's 1 minute longer.
Why did you cut it off, dude? There's more at the end
Is
there.
there?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Jeez Louise. Hold
on. No, he's right. Wait. I can fix this. Hold on.
It was just. All right.
Wait. It's right here. I forgot
We're gonna watch this shit again.
No, it's right there. In our hearts always. There we go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
Rest in peace, Wells.
Yeah,
360. I actually I was talking to Wells today, and he's like legitimately concerned that he might not ever get red on the gym road. Shut it, Bacon.
Next.
All right, play the next one.
All right, this is mine. Yeah, here we go.
Look at this guy, Wells in the 360. I loved DeAndre Hopkins' clapback. You know I'm a huge fan of Wife Smack, signed Dana White. Man, stop, Wells. Wells, no matter what you say, you have no credibility because you are the author of the worst take in the history of the program. You know, rare is the person that gets banned from this show. Wells, I don't want to name call, but you're the same moron.
Let her go, Jim. He's dead.
It's on record as saying, oh, Shohei Ohtani is overrated, overhyped. Wells, don't talk to me about anything. Don't talk to me about anything.
Don't talk to me,
and especially about Shohei.
Knock it off!
Now, I know for you, Wells, this is a win because I am talking about you. This is why soon, Wells, you will be banned. And if I don't ban you, it's because I have great empathy. It's got to be hard to be you, Wells. Got to be hard to go through life walking around with that kind of nonsense rattling around in your head. Do you know what's not rattling around in your head? Extraordinary IQ points.
Let her go, Jim. He's dead. His brain is gone.
We're almost to the funeral.
All right. So let me read this and respond, and then we move on. Wells in the 1080 is not getting the point. The next time you hear your name on this show coming out of my mouth will be never. Set your watch to it. Enjoy your last 3 seconds on this show as it relates to the host of the show. What I'm saying to you, Wells, you've done it. And because you've done it, now you're
His coworkers chime in.
Those coworkers are said by the dude.
Yeah. They're devastated. Oh, this one's really devastating. The last one is almost suicidal.
Oh my God, dude. You win, horse. You win. Oh, there's the fat one.
Crying.
Wow. It's such a sobering day. Like, almost.
There he is. You'll see it. Too young.
38. Oh, you got his actually age in there, dude.
Too young.
You have a social security number in there too?
Too young.
Too young.
I actually guessed on the year. I don't know what his age is. Hey, his birthday's on Twitter.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy birthday, Wells, and rest in peace. Yeah, so he's a little concerned that his 10 years over with being a clone. Anyhow, what's going on, everyone? Are we going to do open Zoom? Is that
you guys are morons.
Sure. DM me if you want on the show.
I did see some funny comments out there. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find them. Good. We won't have to see his boring Mariners tweets anymore from Vincey. What is that? I can't read. My glasses are off.
Wells, fat man.
V
Why
in
do
the
you gotta
V or
hate?
someone who's got a name a lot like V in the V. Rest in peace. Ryan in Sacktown cell, as well as those fake news. He didn't get an official block. I guess time will tell. He was telling me that it's very nerve-wracking that Jim is out for 2 weeks. To even know if he's actually gone.
He's got to sweat it out for 2 weeks. That's the bummer of it, right?
Can we try to call him on my cell phone?
We should.
He won't.
Hey, Wells,
All
you
right.
want a link to Zoom?
Hey Siri, call Wells.
Let me give him a link.
He's on vacation, so he might not answer.
He was in the chat.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was in the chat earlier.
Can you guys hear the ringing?
Oops. I do.
Okay.
Watch out, because his recording gives his full name.
I'll hang it up before that. Does it really?
Yes. Yes, it does. And
Good evening.
he will be very upset.
Hi.
You know what's cool? I have a dump button now. I can dump it if you accidentally send it over.
Sweet
Mother of God, what is the holdup?
What's going on? Who's coming in? I see Ryan is in the chat.
Any one of you guys, you can DM any three of us. We all got the link to join Zoom.
Don't
you guys
DM
wanna
me.
come
I'm not paying
in?
attention.
I have his email number if you want me to give it to you.
You can come in and give your last respects to Wells and talk about how you're going to miss him.
I need people to come in and talk about their memories of the J Stew. You know, that was freaking rad that we had him on the show. You know, he had a lot to share. Horse bacon. What did you take away from any of that?
Dude, it was a great interview. There was always like 3 or 4 questions I want to ask. Mike and India DM me a couple questions, but there was really there was no slow spots where you guys weren't interacting. So I didn't see an opening to,
someone like that. It's almost impossible not to have a slow moment, to have a slow moment like that. You know, like I've had the guests on the show where it's like, oh, what do I ask now? I start, flipping through pages, and because when I type out my questions, I jump around, dude. Because I like to try to. I'm not the best at it, but try to segue into like if he's talking about one thing, and it's like today, like for an example, talking about Alvin DeLauro, skip down to the Alvin DeLauro questions, and it's like, but anyhow, the thing that I thought was cool was, him talking about that line in that movie that they recorded at the studio, the Jim Rome studio, live on the air. That was funny as hell, dude.
That sucked because I listened to that episode and I had a lot of input because not only did the guy that was getting him that gig have him do the lines on the show, but he had him do it about 7-8 times. He's like, no, wait, we didn't get that one. You got to do it again. And they kept doing it over. It was freaking hilarious. I remember that episode.
It was Stan Brooks, right? Like that was the producer.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was like getting on the mic and he goes, what's that?
And that's where the wooden and laconic came from, where he said he was casting somebody for that mini series about the serial killer. And he said, they were looking for somebody wooden and laconic. to be the telegraph operator. Or something,
yeah.
right? And that's where Wooden and Laconic came from. He's like, oh, Wooden and Laconic. He's the first person I thought of.
J Stu, fuck yeah.
And dude, actually, there was a question in there. Bella had a question. She was asking if Stan Brooks was actually his godfather, but I think that was just a bit, was it not?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I remember that. Yeah,
I doubt it.
I don't know. It's hard to tell what is the actual and what's the show. Where
I saw
bits.
Yeah, what's the inside? Yeah, because nobody does trolling jobs like that, right?
No.
So, but the movie was called.
I had the IMDb.
It was the capture of the Green River Killer. And it was based on the book Chasing the Devil. Now was the confusing part, because when Stan Brooks was talking about it, he was referring to the movie as Chasing the Devil, because I don't think they had actually named the movie yet, because and they actually filmed it up in like Manitoba or something.
Yeah, the thing I saw Ryan in Sacktown ask a question about who was Carl and Rose Mead. Because there's rumors out there that either it was him or Travis Rogers called in as Carl and Rose Mead. I didn't want to get in there and like put him in a situation where he'd answer a question he probably didn't want to answer.
But that was one of those ones that it's always been kind of hush hush, has it not? From everybody that was there. But when he was, you guys know about the CL and SoCal call, right?
The which?
You guys have heard? Okay, listen to this one. Here it goes.
Today's huge text of the day is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy works.
Sorry, that was the wrong one. I've got it. Give me 1 second. It always does that. It always goes to the one below it. Here we go.
All right, quickly, we go back to the phones. We go to a SoCal in Los Angeles. CL, what's up? Nice to have you on the program.
Jim, long time, first time. I just kind of want to make this, bring this up to your attention if you weren't aware, but Rudy Galindo was proven to be HIV positive this morning over the wire. I'm just wondering if you received this email. Dear Jim, shocked to hear about Rudy. Signed Greg Louganis, Richard Simmons, Charles Nelson Riley.
Boy, that would never get on the air now. No way.
Straight up, bona fide jackass. I mean, how big of an idiot would you have to be to make a call like that? Hey, idiot. Never call this show ever again.
Hey, idiot. Let me ask you this,
freaking loser.
Just based off of that, you say something like that can't get by on a show like that today. And segueing, connecting it to the whole Wells getting fired from the Jim Rome show. When you guys send tweets, the chat, and you guys, when you send tweets, are you looking for reaction, like the shock reaction from Jim Rome when you send a tweet? Or are you just trying to just get read? That's my thing. Is I've been read 100,000 times, and it's like most of them are just like ones that I was like, that was kind of boring. I want him to read the tweets that make him react. Like a few weeks ago, I sent him one. I don't remember what it was. Something about balls or something. And I said something along the line of, we don't have balls either. Signed Lance Armstrong and that UFC fighter. I can't think of his name right now. Jim Rome read it, and I was like, oh, I didn't think he was going to read that one. And of course the reaction. Oh yeah, good Wood. Yeah, cancer.
Go ahead, Horace. You go first.
Well, I was going to say, I don't do that. I send them to get read. But I do see in the JTP, I see tweets go out to Jim Rome, and I'm like, they're tweeting that knowing there's no freaking way in hell he's going to read
it. The Michael Sams and the...
exactly. They're doing that for the JTP to see it.
For sure.
Not because they think he's going to read it. I mean, there's some that are like, there's no way in hell he would ever read that. Ever.
Some of them, like if you look at them, you do the search for Jim Rome and you look at, the latest tweets and you can follow along with them. You used to be able to do it with TweetDeck. You can't do it anymore, obviously, now. But like some of them are just like, they're not even conversational. They're not topical. They're not, Then there's ones that just like, okay, 1,000 people have just sent this tweet.
Yeah.
How do you make it unique? You have to be able to, he has to be able to read it. I've said this umpteen times. He has to be able to read it. And I know that Hawk has actually changed some of the emails, because when I was following, when we were following on TweetDeck, when you read the actual email, they would actually switch some of the words to make it more readable. So that's number one. That's a huge mistake of people. Two, like when you got to combine the words together just to make it sound like interesting. I mean, people just like right away they're just like, oh, I got to get this out. And hey, I've been guilty of it, misspelling, stuff like that.
For sure.
But what I tend to do is, my biggest thing is I always try to use previous references. And I've got a little bit of an ace in the hole with that because of the resources I have and the knowledge that I have with that, but also just trying to do something different,
Yeah. So sometimes you feel like the ones that are going out where it's like signed by Baby Jessica. It's like it's overplayed, but
Jason
it's like,
Pierre-Paul. But I will never stop doing Jason Pierre-Paul. That is like one of my favorite. Or
low-hanging fruit. You almost have to.
Pineapple Factory Explosion. Survivor stuff like that. I love those ones. Those ones are great. But you even mentioned it though, Wood. Like everybody's done this. Like that you've got like some good tweets there, and sometimes they just get lost in the mix. Or whatever. And then they end up reading like the crappy one that you didn't think was going to get read. Meanwhile, it's just like, oh man, this is the worst. If they see this one, they're going to read it, right?
Yeah. I know. Like I'm more proud of the ones where it's like where you get the reaction, like the
you get the extended reaction.
Greg Norman not long ago, and he said, "I've never blocked anyone, Wood, but if you do that again, and it's those are the ones I love, and I'm sure." He loves them too. And like, I don't know, what was the topic today? Oh no, it was yesterday. Yesterday he was talking about Justin Herbert, obviously a neighbor of his. And so he probably didn't want to read too many of those tweets because he could run into the guy, like at a barbecue or something.
I don't think he would. I don't think it would matter with that. They know. He knows. I'm sure this guy has got a pretty good.
Hell, if he can have the names Coach K. If Coach K comes on the show and he was still doing interviews and he was in the Rap Family, some people are like, I get it. It's a show and they do bits and stuff. And I can dismiss that, but he's had people on the show where he's lit them up or put them,
But it comes and goes though too. Like there's been times when it's just like, I'll get like half a dozen read in a week, and then I'll go for like, months. six months and not have anything read.
Yeah,
it's just the way it,
I got a question for you and the audience, Jeff 12wood.
Yeah,
do you think Wells is blocked? I think he is short term. I think he will be blacklisted short term, but it's not internal. But I think Jim's going to make him sweat. Come back for a couple weeks, not read a tweet, and really make him sweat. That's my opinion.
I told Wells that Jim Rome he's a psychological troll, man. He gets in our heads, and he's like, there's many times where I felt like, oh, maybe I'm blocked. I don't know. It's like
it's a designated timeout.
You think it's a timeout as well?
Yeah,
make him sweat for 3 or 4 weeks.
But the funny thing is, we the three of us know Wells well enough to know that he legitimately feels like Ohtani is overrated. He dies on so many different hills.
Yeah, I think
and it's like, Wells, do you really?
Oh no,
I don't know if
he legit. I think he legit believes that. He has convinced himself of that. I mean, he has convinced himself more of that than OJ has convinced himself that he didn't commit those
crimes. Not the killer.
But my point is, he knows by saying that stuff he's trolling, whether he believes it or not. Just like people that say the earth is flat, they may believe it, but they know when they throw it out there, they're going to get a lot of reaction of people going, oh, you're nuts.
Flat. Dude,
Who else is going to say Ohtani
have you ever dropped a ball on the ground? What happens? It doesn't roll away. It's flat, dude. I tell you. To me, I'm one of those people, like, when it comes to, and I'm changing the subject, when it comes to moon landing, when it comes to flat earth, I just don't give a shit. If it's fake, it doesn't bother me.
Believe what you want to believe, right?
It doesn't bother me. What do you believe? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care
if the funniest things
is flat or if it's round or what.
My father-in-law The guy, he's an academic. Okay, the guy's got tons of degrees and all the rest of it. The problem is he's socially awkward. Okay, and he's very, very like not maliciously, but he's very self-absorbed. And if you're not talking about a subject that he wants to talk about, he literally like spaces right out. I mean, you can hear the crickets in his head, right?
Yeah.
And something comes up, and it's just like, oh well, that doesn't affect me, And so that is like the go-to line now for for whatever. Like for instance, when COVID hit, all right, he's at a senior's residence. He's got his own apartment, all the rest of it. Well, he gets his meals every day, like they eat in a dining room and everything. It's like going to a restaurant, right? They've got a little movie theater in there, and so they got the
Nice.
movie theater, right? He's got it very good in retirement. Okay, so my wife was trying to explain to him, you've got it pretty good there. Like we're locked down, we can't go out to a movie, we can't go out to it, like we can't go. And he goes, well, that doesn't affect me.
So he was kind of locked into his community, so they figured if they could keep it from getting in, they could keep interacting with each other.
Oh, absolutely. It was no different than no different than and they did. They were able to whatever interact, but he couldn't get in his brain that this is what's so. But there's a certain beauty to that where he's just like, it doesn't affect me. So he just like move right along.
Nice.
I think maybe some of us could stand to do a little bit of that,
right?
And not care so much about what's going on on certain things. So
those,
like I said,
he could have made a good call screener for the Jim Rome show. Like someone starts talking. Yeah, I'm not into that.
Yeah, I'm not into that. Yeah, next.
What kind of name is
right?
Left and Laguna?
Yeah, right.
Hey, someone wants to talk about. Can we talk about Ryan and Sacktown's amount of shitty tweets he sends every show? ? And Ryan's in the chat, so we've got a cat fight in the chat.
Ryan trying to be Mr. Cool is so great.
He is trying to be Mr. Cool.
Bennett Crystal Menifee? That's not V, is it? It's a V in the P.
Is that V in the
Crystal Menifee?
I don't think it is. It's a different kind of
doesn't
brand.
V in the Fee go after Ryan in Sacramento though?
Maybe. Is that press one of your V in the Fee, or the V in the Fee? You're obviously V in the Fee.
Hey, you guys need to get on the show and air your grievances here. I'll send you the
baby, you looking for a party?
I'll send you the link.
Anyhow, what else we got? We did the memoriam. God, I don't know why that's hard. That's a hard word for me to say. Memoriam for that Wells guy. We had J Stu on. Definitely, I'm going to be chopping up the getting Alvin DeLauro. How many times have I sent Alvin DeLauro a DM or even a tweet? I think I even sent him one time.
Now.
Austin Huff saying, "Horse, you were there."
Yes.
Didn't he do it one time too? Like, no. He said this is when he was on the train wreck, and he said, "If you get Alvin on, I'll come on again," or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Alvin, though. His boss has a hard time getting him on a microphone. What do you think you're going to... I mean, when Jim says, sometimes he waves him off. He goes, hey, Alvin, grab the... Oh, you're not... Okay,
well... He said it today. He speaks in drops, right?
Yes.
Some people are just not comfortable on the mic.
Well, I don't blame him. He's got his job, and he doesn't want to... He
should come on. He should come on and we could have a conversation at sound drops. I could have Bacon on one side and Alvin on the other side and just talk to each other in sound drops.
I would love to hear about Alvin's process. That would be one of those things where they have the charity and you can shadow somebody. I would shadow Alvin before I'd shadow Rome because I want to see how this stuff works.
Dude, I'm fascinated by that stuff.
I'm fascinated by that stuff. But I think it partially has to do with he's got to really concentrate on what he's doing, and that sort of breaks his rhythm by talking and stuff.
When Jim makes him move over a seat,
in a way, yeah, I think that there's something to that, but that when they're in there. And even we saw it with Hawk. You could see them sometimes when they'd show them in the booth and they would look over and everything. Like they would verify stuff with him, right? Or they would have a caller and he'd say, okay, I've got da-da-da-da-da. Do you know about this? Yes. He could set up the drop and then he's good to go. Yeah. That's just good teamwork there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm fascinated by the whole behind the scenes stuff. I almost wish that they would like record one day, because and I dig into them. Like if Jay Stu's on, if Austin Huff is on, if Adam Hawk is on, you guys have probably heard me say it. Like, tell me the process, because I'm curious. Jay Stu, I asked him today, like, was it your job to find the guest, or did Jim Rome give you a list and say go after these people?
Exactly.
That's the stuff I want to hear about. I wanted to like from 5 a.m. when they pull up, like what's the first thing they do? I obviously get a cup of coffee, take a shit, and then was it are they emailing people? Are they all sitting around on round table? Okay, what are we going to talk about today? Here's the bullet points. Segment 1, segment 2, we got a guest here, we got this, what sound drops, album, what are you going to do? What guests are we going to talk about, the podcast? Are we going to do, what's your beef segments? What is the process from 5 a.m. until 9 Pacific time? What do they do?
You know what?
And when the show's over, do they discuss what happened? Do they talk? Do they say, "Oh my gosh, did you see the tweet that Wells sent today?" Do they have like just bullshit conversations? And do they start plotting tomorrow's show, or even next week Wednesday's show right after that show? You know what I mean?
You know what Huff said that was really interesting when you had him on? Is he said you grind and you've come up with all this content. Let's say it's a 3-hour show. You've got like 5 hours worth of content. And then, they roll, the show's over, dun, dun, dun. They do the drop music. The next day you start over. The stuff that you had that didn't get on the show basically goes in the trash. Mm-hmm, and you literally start over. He says that's the treadmill, is you start over the next day. You don't carry stuff over to the next day.
That was Adam that said that. And the reason I remember it was Adam is because he had an interview that I read, an article. It's like a very long article in a magazine or something. I don't remember where it was, but it was him talking about the quest for content, and just always the wheel's always spinning. When you're in the show, you're looking for content. When you're after the show, you're looking for content, and there's no break. It's 24/7. You're always searching for some kind of content, and that's wearing on people at times.
Yeah, and then there's always stuff that breaking news, right? There's always stuff that pops in, and then that's 3 hours. You think, okay, how do you do that for 3 hours a day? That's got to just like I know for Tom it like flies by, and same for Alvy. That crap just like flies by, because they're so busy. Sure. There's always something to do. 3 hours and you literally have 3 times in an hour you've got 3 or 4 minutes to go like relieve yourself or something, or grab something to drink, whatever it is, right? And then you're right back at it. So and then even between there, Tom's got to be talking to guests that are coming in too. But that was another thing. Like somebody I think there was a question in the chat, or no Horace, we were joking about the question. How many guests do you think that Jay Stu thinks is optimal for the show? Because you notice he's gone to 2, and sometimes he's at 3, but he's gone to 2 most days, and then maybe he has big head bets.
Yeah.
So he's gone to 2 interviews now, and it's kind of interesting.
I'm telling you, it filtered down to him that the interview. We talk about it enough to say that, look, when he had a 4-hour show, he had 3 guests.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because Jason Stewart talked about the 4-hour show. I remember the first week where it went to 3 hours. First of all, they stopped at 3 hours. I'm like, wait, what happened? I didn't know it was a 3-hour show until it stopped. And then the next day they said, hey, it's a 3-hour show now. For the first 2-3 weeks, I was going through withdrawals between noon and 1 my time, because I'm like, what do I listen to now? It sucked.
It's a rhythm that gets into. So you know what's also interesting? Like I was listening to just on terrestrial radio, obviously being so close to Detroit, we get Detroit stations, and they had a station 1270 which carried Rome. And the shows after, they had a local show after, and then for 3 hours, and then at 6 o'clock Eastern, so like 3 hours after Rome, they had Petros and Money out of L.A. And you're thinking, okay, this is a L.A. Local L.A. station, but it was like I could listen to that all day. And I know some people, Petros and Money, have been on the they've been guest hosts for Rome before. Yeah. And some people just can't stand Petros because he's really loud and obnoxious, right? But they use sound drops just beautifully. It's I find it very, very entertaining. And I hadn't listened to it in years. And then just today, while we were setting stuff up and everything, I actually looked up and I found them on I think it was the TuneIn app, and I listened to the show, and it is the same show that they've had from before, and it still works, and it's still just funny as hell. They've got the same drops, they got the same bits, they do the same thing on certain. They have themed days, and it still works. Like, why would you mess with a setup like that, with a routine like that? Now, that being said, with the turnover that they have in the Rome show, that's got to be tough to find that that cohesiveness, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen the guys that have gone in and out. There's been some really, really talented people that have gone
for sure
in and out of there.
And they don't. Some of them don't even last long. Robert Dasmati didn't. What is he? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that.
Oh, it was longer than that.
Well,
it wasn't long.
It wasn't long.
It was longer because they had the Friends drop a lot, so it had to be about 8 months, 6 months, somewhere in there.
Something
yeah, he was at least, I would say he was at least that long, if not a year, because
Jay Stu,
he took a lot of my tweets.
Jay Stu was talking about, the two guys that were hired ahead of him. I love that story, by the way. Just hired, and I was going to ask him, like, what did they not like about the show that they lasted just a few days? We actually had to work, or
I think
don't
those hours are 14 to 16 hours from what I've been picking up from other employees of the show. I think you grind 14 to 16
could be
hours
a family
a day.
thing, like you've got other family commitments. It could be the commute. You don't know. And some of these people aren't actually from the area, right? So if you're not used to that lifestyle, I mean, surprisingly, even Tom, isn't Tom from New York?
I have no idea.
Or he was in the New York market, I think, but I don't think he's not a SoCal native. So,
he came from the East Coast. Lifestyle. He came from the East Coast.
I'm not sure where he's actually from, but yeah, he was working in New York, I think.
He was working for was it not Ryder? Who was it? It was another show.
It wasn't DA.
I think it was I think it was Ryder.
Could have been, yeah. It was one of the other CBS dudes.
I think it was Ryder.
I like it, and I think we talked about this last time, was when people get pissed off at Tom.
Yeah, Marie.
Oh my gosh, Tom's not taking my call. He doesn't understand. I was like, my theory behind the whole Tom thing is like Tom is doing what he's being told. Yep. He is.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Let's talk about some of the greats in the XR4TA. We got Jay Stu, of course. We got Travis Rogers. We got Kyle Brandt, we got Adam Hawk, and we got Rit. I'm gonna throw Rit in there because Rit he's a character in the show.
Sure.
Not everyone has the automatic character. You know what I mean? Like, why does Tom have to be the next Kyle Brandt? I've never talked to Tom
because Kyle Brandt wasn't the next Travis Rogers, right?
Exactly.
And Adam Hawk wasn't the next Kyle Brandt. So,
Hawk was my favorite.
Again, I still go back to, I think Bulldog had a great comment on our show when he said, we have, people are always saying we got to give Tom a chance. Well, he's also got to give us a chance. So, and I think he has. I think he's let people in about as much as he can. To your point, Wood, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, right?
Exactly.
But let's be perfectly honest. Everybody on that show is doing what they're supposed to be doing, or what they've been told to do.
Well, they wouldn't be there.
Them to
or
do.
Or they wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
so
it's not. Tom's
why
not
does
doing
that make
anything.
why does that make him any different than anybody who's in the back or Alvy or whoever is booking? Yeah, exactly.
By the way, since you won't promote yourself, good job. I went back and listened to it. Start of hour 2. Jim Rome read 12 Wood's email about the show tonight, And he said, I'm going to pimp. He goes, your show's going to be on Twitter Live. It's going to be on YouTube. And it's going to be on Twitch. I'll pimp your show, 12 Wood.
Yeah, I don't mind pimping your show.
That was awesome, dude.
That was a good
job.
feeling. Here's the thing. It's been a while since we've had any promotion.
Yes.
Lately, it's been the podcast, the 12 Wood podcast. And it's like,
yeah.
And it's like, it was great. It was good. A good feeling.
But he does realize, and I don't think he's ever forgotten that
No.
when he says shows about the show, and he knows that when you're on Friday nights, you're carrying on the vibe through the weekend, right? We're going to be talking about stuff when, let's face it, you've got a dead zone for 2 weeks, right? And it's funny too. The other thing, like, we talk about, comparing producers and whatnot, people that have been in and out of there. I get a kick out of the people that say, "Oh, I like this guest host," or "I like this guest host," or and I tend to disagree with people more than I agree with them with the guest hosts. We said it tonight. Jay Moore was, way above and beyond any other. He was always the best, and he always will be the best guest host, right? And then you come to think about it, it's like, yeah, Skip Bayless hosted, and it's like personally, I'm not a fan of Skip Bayless, but that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, right.
Pretty cool. And then he talks about, hey, Joe Buck did it one time. That's pretty cool.
I couldn't believe that. He was rattling off these names today, so fast that I could not keep up. My brain wasn't keeping up with what he said. I was like, he was on like the fourth person. I was like, did he just say Joe Buck? Right. And I couldn't go back and say, did you say Joe Buck? Like, because he was already on number 6 and 7. Like,
yeah. And I think everybody to a man and a woman would agree that Bill Ryder is just boring AF. Okay. Because it's just basically droning on and on and on for 3 hours.
Some people like it.
And it's, some people can listen to it. Hey, whatever. God bless you. A lot of people do not like the Sklar's. But I find that most people that do not like the Sklar's are ones that have had poor interactions with them on Twitter. So there's that to be said.
They've been blocked.
I think that they're funny because I like that twin.
I like the Sklar's
interaction. Dude. I love listening to them. I shouldn't say love, but I enjoy listening to them.
So they're not going to read my tweet. Who cares?
Who cares? Exactly.
They're funny. The thing I love most about the Sklar's is how they finish each other's sentences.
Exactly.
Every other.
Yep. And that's what Petros and Money do. They're very, very good back and forth that way. Now, the Brian Weber thing,
he's my favorite.
He's an awesome dude. He's an awesome dude, okay? But I'm sorry, his shtick has jumped the shark. It's gotten old. He needs to just do his thing.
That's my boy, right? You're talking about my dude here.
He's my favorite current.
He's a great guy. I love him.
He's a fan. He's a friend of this Woodscopes show. So I'm gonna have to cut you off there, Bacon. If
you want me to dump him?
Yeah, dump him.
But question though, is he a friend of the show for the left hook? Never mind. Okay, I didn't know if he's a friend of the show. Never mind. The real left hook. You don't know who the real left hook is?
James in Sacramento.
What's he have to do with Brian Weber?
I don't know.
Friend. His tagline used to be, "Oh, this is 12 Wood."
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
I never watched it.
You never watched it, so you wouldn't know, right? Who is the guy? I can't recall his name. Soccer dude. That.
Oh yeah. We're talking Dave Denholm.
Dave Denholm. Good.
I like him.
Great
too.
host.
Yeah.
He's really good. There was somebody else that was on a couple weeks ago that I had no idea who he was, but he was really smooth and excellent interviewer. Trying to think, are there any other ones that we're missing as far as like who had ever guest hosted? I can't recall, but yeah.
Well, I sent out the tweet a few weeks ago about who's your favorite or give me your top 3.
Sure.
And the top of the list I had written down was Brian Weber, Jay Moore. Sklar brothers were in there. Dude, Joey, what's his name? I don't think I put him on the list. Uncle Joey. Well, what the fuck was his name?
You're not talking about the actor from that show, are you?
No. It'll come to me. But yeah,
remember Chad in Portland guest hosted. He was at the time the only one to call into a smack off.
Yes.
And to guest host on the Jim Rome show.
And was on the Woodscopes twice. Let's see here.
He was supposed to show up at the party
Vendetta.
at the smack off party, and he showed up too late.
Vendetta was the guy I was thinking of. He
Joey
was
Vendetta, yeah.
Yeah, he was fun. I mean,
KB did an awesome job that last time that he hosted.
He
did
pissed off a lot of
phenomenal job.
people by saying some mean stuff about. I don't remember. I don't care about that stuff. Because it's kind of true. I mean, the clones are annoying,
right?
Oh, just kidding.
I think that one of the questions that I had thrown out there for you to ask Jason today was the one about, like, who was his favorite to work with, and I think he answered that. I think it was Jay. I think it was clearly Jay Moore was. His favorite to work with.
He said they're still friends.
Yeah,
go to his Instagram. He's got 10,000 photos of him and Jay Moore.
Did you guys say Dave Coulier? That V in the Feast said that one.
I don't know who that is.
Dave Coulier?
Coulier?
It's the guy from Full House? No.
That's what I was wondering when he said
Uncle Joey. Yeah.
I'm like,
Uncle Joey.
Wait, is that the Alanis?
I thought
Alanis Morissette wrote a song about him.
I thought Uncle Joey was what's his name? Stamos. Isn't that Uncle Joey?
Oh no, who's the other guy then? Uncle
he impersonator uncle guy.
Yeah, he was the cut it out guy. Cut it out. He was the Alanis Morissette guy. You know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's Dave Coulier.
Oh,
okay,
that's the guy. Yeah.
Well, that's Uncle. It's
Oh,
not Uncle Jesse.
Oh,
it's
that's right.
Uncle...
Uncle Jesse was Stamos. That's right.
Jesse,
yeah.
yes.
Yep. We got it.
Laura Laughlin was Smoke Show. That's all I know. She was so freaking hot.
Yeah.
Is she in jail now or something?
Is she doing jail time?
Yeah, she got. She was in that whole USC.
She was in that
the scandal.
What, her daughters or something were like in the crew rowing or whatever? Yeah,
What?
right.
She was doing a mother-daughter routine. What?
Mother-daughter.
Oh,
routine.
nice.
On that note.
Look what time it is.
Yeah, I think
should,
you just like the Sklars because they're twins, and you have a twin.
Are they twins?
Yeah,
I think they're
right.
just brothers.
No, they're twins.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. That's the reason why. I does anyone know who's going to be on next week?
I don't know. I was going to tweet
I
at
have no
Weber and say what, because I'll listen. He's the only one I listen to right now.
Weber is he's definitely a friend to this show.
Friend of the show.
He will be on the Woodscopes again. I just need to ask him. The second I ask him, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, sure. Tell me when."
Dude,
another one I want to get.
My Die Hard Christmas edition. Benton
Oh,
got
that's
him to
cool.
do that live. It's it's on the front of our Christmas edition show. Him talking about it.
All right, future. Before we go, future efforts for the Woodscopes. I'm gonna just name off a few.
Cindy
if
and
any
Jack
of you guys,
Savage. Sorry.
Jack Savage, dude, he's gonna come in here and rip all of our heads off, man.
Yeah.
How
That's
is
why
that
we
not a
need
bigger
Cindy.
thing? That
Calm
needs to be
down.
a bigger thing on the anyhow. No. First one, Garrett Ritt is on that list. I want to see Cruz Pedregon again. I know the second I ask Cruz, he's gonna be like, "Yes, just tell me when." That guy is so cool. Same with Brian Weber. Alvin DeLauro is going to be number one on that list as far as Jim Rome again. Jim Rome will be on again. Okay, I'm just going to say that now. It's going to happen. All right. He's got to have withdrawals. He's going to be like,
Are you redoing your life's goals? Because I thought the life goal was to get Austin Huff to guest host.
That's a different kind of goal though. That's like goal B, and I'm on goal A's right now.
He's thinking selfishly now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we wrapping this up?
Yeah.
It sounds like he's trying to.
I can't remember. There was another name I was going to mention who I wanted to come on. We got to get Dave Denholm on again. I like that guy.
Okay.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He probably misses the clones too. But anyhow, yeah, we're going to get you guys Austin Huff as a guest host on the Jim Rome Show. Make it a thing. Jeff Paston, 512 says Jeff Paston appears to have some time to do an interview. What? No, Lumber. He's a keyboard. He works at a keyboard, so even if he's got a broken back and half his body fell off, he could still do his job. Anyhow,
Let's get the
Horse
Sklars
wants
on
to
the
leave.
show.
Nicely done.
Let's
yeah.
get the Sklars on the show, and you and Matt can interview them.
See, that's one of those things where it's like Scalars are too big for something like this. They're stand-up comics that go around the world.
Yeah.
And never have problems selling out stadiums.
Bacon wants to bail. He wants to go.
Next. What is this, the Stucknut Show? We're going to go now. It's got to go. It's got to end right now. Right now. It's time to leave.
Hey, let's talk about what we're going to do next week.
There's no show next week. All right.
There's a water hole. Let's talk about the water.
Okay, I love you guys. Thanks a million for coming in tonight. Thanks for retweeting. I will go and see who retweeted. I'm going to throw your names in a hat, and the first name I pull out will automatically win the shirt. Even if you do it now, the show's ending now. Go ahead, because there's rewatch. You can rewatch the show. So if you go out there and retweet the show right now, I will throw your name in the hat for that shirt, the Lorelei shirt. I love you guys. Thanks for making this show possible. Bacon, Horse, you guys did a phenomenal job. I couldn't do this without you. You guys are making the show.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Love the crew.
That's right.
Love the chat. Love J Stu. Good night now.